Hey there tech fans, Rick here again with another review, and today I have the DJI Air 2S drone. This is easily the most sophisticated drone that DJI has ever released for the consumer marketplace, and in my opinion, it really blurs the line between the hobbyist flyer that's out on the weekends and flying occasionally, and the professional flyer that's out flying commercially, because a lot of the features you'll find in the Air 2S are normally only found on higher end drones that are a whole lot more expensive, and I think it's great that DJI, who builds those high-end drones, has trickled a lot of that technology down into the consumer space to produce a drone like the Air 2S, because this drone is perfect for new flyers that just want to get out on the weekend and have fun with the family or take on vacation. But if you ever decide to start doing commercial aerial work, maybe you're doing real estate photography or roof inspections, the Air 2S is perfect for that as well. So it's really like the Swiss Army knife of drones because it can do so many things. And there aren't many companies out there that can pack as many features as DJI has packed into the Air 2S at this price point. And I'll get into all those in a minute. So let's start off with the basic specifications. So the drone itself will fly 31 minutes on a fully charged battery. Now that's pretty impressive for a mid-sized drone that's this big. 31 minutes will give you plenty of time to get up in the air, get out on a target, get your framing right, record a lot of good video, take a lot of pictures, and get back and land. So 31 minutes is a full flight time. I love the fact that it's that long because that means I'm flying more and I'm changing batteries less often. You're probably wondering how far it can fly. Well, DJI's pioneered connection technology between their drones and the controllers, and it started with OcuSync 1, which was the first connection technology, which is a proprietary technology from DJI. It's based on Wi-Fi. I'm getting a little nerdy, but it's based on Wi-Fi, but it's also frequency hopping, looking for strong signals between the drone and the controller. And if the signal gets jammed up with interference, it'll actually move to another frequency. So it's constantly trying to keep that connection strong between you and the drone. I'm saying this because the distance the drone can fly is 12 kilometers away. Now think about that. You can remotely control the drone 12 kilometers away from where you're standing. There aren't many drones on the market that'll do that. Most other drones are based on Wi-Fi signals, which give you a couple of 100 feet, maybe 1,000 feet if you're lucky, but if there's any kind of obstructions near you, you're not going to get that distance. And that's one of the big worries of flyers is that the drone is going to break connection with the controller and head off over the horizon. Now, I have to caution you that in the US, you can't really fly 12 kilometers because we have rules that you have to follow, and there's a visual line of sight rule that says you have to keep your eye on the drone when you're flying it. And for me, being a little older, that's about 2,500 feet or 3,000 feet away. But I love the fact that this is using the very latest versions of OcuSync, which is OcuSync 3. And I know I could fly 12 kilometers if the law permitted that, but having that strong signal means I'm going to have a rock solid connection in close, even if I have a lot of Wi-Fi interference or a building or a tree that I'm flying past. So the connection technology is incredibly stable. The next thing you're going to wonder about is how good is the camera, because the reason you're buying a camera drone is to put it up and take some beautiful pictures and some amazing video. Well, this drone sports a 1-inch sensor, which is a really large sensor for a drone. It's the size of sensor you find in a lot of the higher-end DSLR cameras. So you essentially have taken a brand new DSLR camera, strapped 4 propellers on it, and sent it up in the air. So you've got amazing footage that you can record. The product will record 5.4K video at 30 frames a second. It'll also record 4K video at 60 frames a second. So it's going to give you incredibly good video. It has a bit rate of 150 megabits a second. Now that's nerdy stuff, but what that means is capturing that image is only half of the problem. Getting that information from the sensor back to the processor so you can actually turn it into a video is another problem. And having 150 megabits of transfer back to that processor means that you're going to get incredibly good video and pictures out of the unit. 48 megapixel pictures as well. So you're flying further, you're flying longer, and you're capturing some incredible footage. Well, what else can the drone do? Well, it has crash avoidance built in 360 degrees. So the drone is aware of its environment, and when you're flying through that environment, it can identify solid objects. And that's important because if you're flying near a tree and the drone can recognize that as a solid object, it can avoid the tree. Now, normally what it'll do is stop so it doesn't crash into the tree, and that's what a lot of drones do with obstacle avoidance. This has a special feature built in called APAS, which actually looks at So you're flying further, you're flying longer, and you're capturing some incredible footage. What else can the drone do? Well, for starters, it has crash avoidance built in 360 degrees, so it can see in front, to the sides, behind it, above it, and below it, which means it's going to identify so you can fly further, you can fly longer, and you can capture some pretty incredible footage. What else can the drone do? Well, it's got a feature built in for crash avoidance that will guarantee 360 degrees of protection, which means it can see in front of it, see behind it, see below, above it, and either side, and it's going to identify solid objects in that environment. So when you're flying through the environment, if you're getting too close to a tree, which is a solid object, the drone knows that, and it's going to stop. It's going to back off. So it's really crash-proof in a lot of ways. So when you're flying through that environment, never worry about running into something. But then DJI added in another feature. So you can fly longer, you can fly further, and you can capture some incredible footage. What else can the drone do? Well, it's got crash avoidance built in, and it's 360 degrees. So what that means is the drone looks in front, looks behind, looks to either side, looks above, looks below, and if it identifies any solid object in that environment, it's not going to let you run into it. So if you're flying through the woods and you're coming up on a tree, the drone knows that's a solid object, it's going to pull back from that tree, and it's going to let you adjust your flight patterns to get around the tree. But they didn't stop there. They built in another feature called APAS, which is essentially an artificial intelligence that draws a wireframe of the environment around the drone. So it's constantly looking at solid objects and holes. And it's drawing a wireframe of the environment so that when you're flying through the woods, it not only stops when it sees a tree, it's already plotting a path around that tree to continue to go forward. So when you fly into a heavily wooded area, it knows where the trees are, and it's going to find a hole between those trees. It's absolutely incredible. It's like a digital co-pilot in the drone. Beautiful feature. It's not only going to avoid the crash, but it's going to allow you to fly through a very complex environment. In addition to that, they built in a ton of artificial intelligent flight modes. So from the controller, you can have it do all kinds of tricks in the air. So you can have it circle you, you can have it fly past you, you can have it fly away from you. So by tapping a button, you've got, again, like a cinematographer on the controls creating those videos for you. It has a couple of different modes too for focus track, which is the one that'll actually zero in on you. And as you move around, it'll follow you. So it knows you as a person. And if you start running around an area, it's going to follow you and keep you in the center of the frame. And there are different settings for that. So you can have it circle you while you're flying. You can have it run parallel along the side of you. So just imagine all the cinematic possibilities of using those advanced features. Because normally if you're flying a drone, it's going to take you a while to get really good on the stick controls so that you can circle an object without getting jerky up there in the air. It's really difficult to stay on pace with somebody when they're running. All of that's built into the drone. So even though I'd recommend spending a lot of time on the sticks to get really good as a pilot, you can use those features to immediately create some amazing footage. And there's automation modes called master shots built in that you hit a button and the drone will automatically go through several patterns of flight and then create a short video you can immediately post to your social media channel. So it really is, in a lot of ways, the everything package or the Swiss Army knife of drones, because you can use it manually to photograph what you need and take some incredible footage, but you can use the automated features to create really compelling footage as well. So all those things being equal, I think DJI's built a fantastic drone with this. I think the price point is right. I've flown this drone since it was released. I fly it pretty much every day when I'm out in the field. It's one of my favorite drones, and honestly, for the commercial work I do, it's the drone I go to. I have larger, more sophisticated drones, but this one is just so simple to fly, and it's a lot of fun up in the air. So I like it an awful lot. I think you'll like it as well. Thanks again for watching. I hope you found this helpful, and until next time, stay nerdy.